Well, good afternoon and welcome to Everton Live for Everton versus Burnley in the Premier League, and it is good to be back at Goodison Park. My name's Rich Wolfenden, and as always I'm joined by Sarah Halpin. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing very well today, thank you, Rich. It's lovely to be here, as I always say, even though it is a very, very windy one. I have to do a quick break down to the toilet to go and put the hat on, I think, to stop me eating my hair for the next hour.
The beanie is out, so it is going to be a tough day, but don't be confused by the lovely sunshine behind us. It is absolutely freezing and blowing an absolute hoolie here at Goodison Park, which should make it an entertaining game. But anyway, let's talk about the games. We'll talk about Chelsea in a little bit, but Burnley here at home. We've got a decent record against Burnley. They're not doing so well in the Premier League this season. We struggled to a 1-0 win here in our last game. It's not been the best place for us, but Burnley at home, do you reckon it's maybe one more we could just get over the line?
Yeah, as you said, I don't think Burnley is ever a good, an easy game. Sean Dyche is a very good manager, and you know kind of what to expect from a Burnley side, and they're always very hard to beat. A lot of heart. They had a good performance against Arsenal, a good draw there, and I think they've drawn a couple of the last games, so they'll be really looking to get a win to try and give them a bit of breathing space and some safety. But as you said, with this kind of weather, the wind, bit of rain, I think is on the forecast to come shortly. It's going to be a tasty one. Yeah, another potential banana skin, but this Everton team, they've proven over the last few weeks that they can get results against tough opposition, which we expect to beat, so hopefully again today. Let's quickly talk about the last game. Chelsea down in West London. We just weren't as good as Chelsea. It was as simple as that, really, wasn't it? We obviously missed Decore, I think, was the main issue. Would you agree? Yeah, definitely. Decore is going to be a massive loss, and he was obviously a massive loss for that Chelsea game. But it's disappointing, of course it is. But I think the fact we got the 1-0 win over Southampton, we went to West Brom and got the win as well. That left us in a position where, yes, of course, we wanted to get a result there. We want to win every game, but it's a good chance now for us to bounce back with 2 home games on the bounce in the league. And I think if we can get the win today, it's so tight, isn't it, Rich? That's the thing. Like these European spots at that end of the table, it's so tight. But I think we should get this one over the line today. If we can win our next 2 Premier League home games, then we're in with a good shot for the business end of the season. Well, yeah, absolutely. Chelsea dropping points as well against Leeds today, so that should hopefully give Everton a little bit of a kick up the backside to try and step on today. But this is Everton Live. Should we tell you what we've got coming up this afternoon? Right, so we will have highlights. So we'll have team news an hour before kick-off at 4:30 GMT. Shortly after that, we'll have the highlights from our game against Burnley at Turf Moor earlier on this season. Then we'll be having another chat over Zoom, this time with Trevor Steven, one of the decorated players from that great 80s side under Howard Kendall. We'll then be taking a trip over to Florida to hear from the Tampa supporters club over there. We'll then have a bit of a chat, well, not a chat, but a bit of a feature with Alex Iwobi talking about his Everton teammates. And then we'll have another Zoom call, filling our boots all the technology today. We'll be hearing from Lucy Graham. Sarah's going to be having a chat with her. We'll also be having another feature on Ben Godfrey. We'll hear from Carlo Ancelotti, and then at 5:30 kick-off time, go to evertonfc.com and you can get full free commentary of the match this afternoon. And remember, our guest today is Graham Stuart. Any questions for him about the football, about what he's been up to during lockdown, any questions at all, hashtag Everton Live over on Twitter. Right, let's get him on. Graham Stuart is our guest this afternoon. Quick substitution. Graham Stuart is our guest today on Everton Live. Thanks for joining us, Graham.
My pleasure.
Lovely to have you back once more. Burnley, the opponents today. We struggled against them earlier on in the season, but we've been in great form since then. You'd like to think we can pick up 3 points today?
Well, you certainly like to think so. Obviously, we're coming off the back of a poor defeat against Chelsea, where we were well beaten. Let's be totally honest about it. So, obviously, here at Goodison Park, we want to get ourselves back on track now. Not the most glamorous side, are they, in the world? Burnley to play against. The probably conditions are probably playing to their hands a little bit as well. So it's going to be one of those afternoons, I fear, that we're just going to have to really grind out a 3-point result. It doesn't matter whether it's 1-0, 2-1, whatever, 5-0, irrespective. get momentum back in. Let's get 3 points on the board and go on to the next game.
Do you reckon it'll be about individual battles today? Because I think Rodriguez is going to be out. Decore's going to be out as well. There could be a few players missing today who will be key usually. Yeah, I mean,
Carlo's had to mix the side up for various reasons. Obviously, we've had a lot of games in a short spell of time, so picked up a few niggles along the way. So Carlo's tended to freshen the team up. So we'll wait to see very shortly, actually, to see what side he'll put out today. But I think the interesting battle for me is going to be the up top for us against Ben Mee and Tarkowski, because those two, they're the core of Burnley for me, and Pope the goalkeeper. Those three there, and they're nice and solid at the back for Burnley. And I think Dominic and Richarlison are going to have a real difficult afternoon ahead of themselves, and it'll be a real good battle.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled, didn't they, against Chelsea in an attacking sense. We hardly made anything happen whatsoever. How do you bring yourself, up? How do you uplift yourself from having such a poor performance?
I think you have to be realistic about it. I mean, Chelsea are potentially probably a top 4 side. Since Thomas Tuchel's come in, he's done wonderfully well for them. Obviously, they've had a draw this afternoon at Leeds, which, again, keeps their momentum going. So they dominated possession. Now, you would really like to think that we'll dominate possession today against the Burnley side. They certainly won't dominate anything like the way Chelsea did on Monday. So we should be able to play our game a little bit freer. We should be able to get into the final third more often and create chances. So hopefully that pans out in the way I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, Carlo Ancelotti's been talking about how we've often struggled when, the onus has been on us to perform. Could that be another issue today? Like I said, especially with Rodriguez being out.
Well, I mean, you'd like to think not, because, as I say, I think we should have more possession than Burnley. Whether it pans out that way remains to be seen, but we should have. But we've got to become comfortable in having that possession, because Burnley will be quite happy to look at us and say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll do what we perhaps did at Chelsea, and we'll sit back and condense the pitch and try and hit them on a counter-attack. You would guess that would, is what Burnley's, game plan will be. So the quicker we can score ourselves a goal, the more space we might just eventually fall into, because Burnley will then have to do something to come out and change the course of the game. But the way I see it panning out, I think Burnley will be more than happy to just sit tight and defend deep and frustrate us.
And obviously, Calvert-Lewin, he tends to play through the middle. Well, he's been playing up front with Richarlison over recent weeks. Is that physical battle going to be more important against Burnley than ever before? Because, you're always in for a physical affair when you play Burnley.
Well, Tarkowski and Ben Mee want a physical battle. That's what they live for every time that they go out onto the pitch. So we've got to be cleverer than that, and we've got to look to our movement from the two front boys has got to be good, and we've got to be looking to get down the sides of them and move them about. If you're just lumping balls up to the top of them, they're saying thank you very much. So what we've got to do is make sure that midfield players are passing good balls down the sides. The runs from Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are such that the midfield players can do that, and the wing-backs or full-backs, whichever way it may be today. But it's all about mixing the game up and making it uncomfortable for the two centre-halves as opposed to making it too simple for them. Yeah,
in an attacking sense then, is that what you'd like to see? Maybe just Calvert-Lewin up front on his own, then two wide players alongside him?
Well, I mean, that remains to be seen. I mean, I think Carlo quite likes Richarlison up top. And he may just drift around about, and he's in good form. He's in good goal scoring form. And I've always said it. I don't mind Richarlison out wide because when the ball comes into the box, he's got the desire to get in there and try and score himself a goal. So you're not a man light in the box, but just the way it depends. Obviously, how we set up and the personnel that we've got. Whether he thinks it will be better for Richarlison to play in a wider position, or the two of them together, and they can work. But the more they work as a partnership, the better they'll get as well. As long as they get the movement and they're positive in everything they do, they're good players. That's as simple as that, and we should have enough to break Burnley down.
Yeah, so in my head, if it is three playing up front, it'd be Richarlison on the left, Calvert-Lewin through the middle, and then on the right, I'm not sure who. We've heard Alex Iwobi this week talking about wanting to play in his favoured position. Is right wing his favoured position? And if it is, could he be playing on that right?
Well, I mean, he's had a bit to say this week, and at the end of the day, you're playing for Everton Football Club, and if Carlo Ancelotti tells you he needs you to play right wing back or left wing back, you get your head down and do it. And when your opportunity to play comes to play in your favoured position, do yourself the biggest favour in the world and make sure you're playing 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, so that he can't turn around and say, well, there you go, I gave you your chance and you've messed it up. Yeah. So it remains to be seen. Does Bernard play? I don't know. We'll wait and see. I would guess Carlo will stick with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison as a top two, because he'll know that one man up top against those two centre-halves that I keep talking about is a tough afternoon for that one man ploughing a farrow on his own.
Yeah, you never complained when you played out of position, did you?
Never.
No.
I couldn't, because I played a different position nigh on every week.
Apart from in net, obviously.
Oh, of course,
So, one man who's came back over the last few weeks, our little Brazilian midfielder, Alan, he just seems to offer that kind of barrier in front of the defence. We'll be glad to have him back again.
Yeah, I mean, he came back, didn't he? And then Carlo left him out, and then he came back again against Chelsea. Always the same. When you've been out for a while, the adrenaline gets you through the first game, and then all of a sudden you get found out a little bit fitness-wise, and the second and third, fourth games maybe you're just trying to find that rhythm again. And I felt against Chelsea, he was running around and trying his hardest, but not really getting anywhere. And I just think that was more down to fitness rather than obviously ability. But you're quite right. When he's on his game, he sits in front of that back three or back four and protects them and does all the nitty-gritty stuff and gets himself about the pitch. So definitely better things to come from him once he gets up to full speed.
Yeah, Tom Davis was playing brilliantly before he picked up his injury a couple of weeks ago. I don't know whether he's available today or not, but he kind of played the Alan role whilst Alan was out injured. Do you reckon those two could fit into the same starting 11?
Yeah, I mean, they might have to. I mean, obviously we've got the issue with Decore now as well, which is going to be a huge miss for us. Decore seems to have a fairly long-term injury, and that's not great news for us, because he's the one who has got that energy and the legs in the middle of the park for us. So it might just come to light that Tom and Alan are the two holding midfield players, if that's the way Carlo wants to go. But certainly Tom gives you that energy. Alan gives you plenty of energy as well, but we've got to have the quality on the ball as well. It's at the end of the day, you might as well put 10 Olympic athletes out on there if you want to just get people to run around. Ultimately, we need to keep the ball as well. We need to break teams down. We need to show quality. So it's not just about who can run the fastest. You've got to play as well. Yeah,
and our standout player at the moment in terms of creativity is Gylfi Sigurdsson. You'd presume in this game he'd have to step up to make the difference, because quality is going to be the difference.
Yeah, I thought Gylfi tried his socks off on Monday against Chelsea. I really did. I think he put a shift in what was a difficult game for any attacking player in the Jade Green of Everton, as it was on Monday. It was very the chances were few and far between. Opportunities were tough because we just didn't have much of the ball. But I think Gylfi did put a shift in. I'd be surprised if he didn't start today.
Okay. We've been talking about the Burnley back two per this afternoon. What do you think about Everton's back two? Who's it going to be today? I think Yerry Mina's now back within the first team, and Godfrey and Keane have been playing there recently.
Well, this is the question. Do we go with a three? Do we stick with a three? I don't personally think Carlo will do that. I think he'll go back to a flat back four. But Ben Godfrey and Michael Keane have played very well there. Before that, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane were doing fine. Does Ben Godfrey go back out in one of the full-back positions? There's a lot to put in the mix. It's all dependent on how training's gone, how recovery's gone over the last few days, and we'll find out very shortly what Carlo is going to do.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Godfrey, he was so unlucky, wasn't he, with the own goal against...
I couldn't do anything about it.
No.
Simple.
But that's probably his first, in my mind anyway, the first kind of low moment of his Everton career. Obviously, it was purely accidental and he didn't mean it, but whatever. But do you reckon he'll be able to just bounce back straight away?
He'll bounce back. Well, the good thing with young players as well is they don't let things sit and think about it too much. It's gone, done and dusted. I'm sure the lads in the dressing room would have said, listen, don't worry about it, it's life. And he's clever enough. He's an intelligent young man. He's clever enough to just put it to bed. As we said, nothing he can do about it. So I think for that young man, as I've said many a times now, I think the way he's come in and fitted into the side, from coming from a relatively small club in Norwich to a huge club that we are here, I think the young man's been absolutely outstanding, and I think the fans, once we get him back in the stadium, are going to absolutely warm to him.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. We've got the team news in about 30 seconds, but before then, let me just quickly ask you about Jordan Pickford. He seems to be in great form. He's properly stepped up, hasn't he? His shot stopping against Chelsea was brilliant.
Make no mistake about it, and I said it on commentary down at Stamford Bridge on Monday. If it wasn't for Jordan, we lost that game 4 and 5-0, unfortunately. Now, people might point to the penalty and say he should have done better. Jordan's come out and said, "Yep, I'm a little bit disappointed that I made the decision I did." But in the main, his goalkeeping and his shot stopping especially has saved us on numerous occasions. So outstanding at the moment, Jordan, for me.
Yeah, well, we'll find out right now if he is starting this afternoon against Burnley. The team news is in for this afternoon's kickoff at 5:30 between Everton and Burnley. Top half versus bottom half. Jordan Pickford does continue in goal, and that lovely pink striped kit. Mason Holgate also starts in at the back. We'll see whether he's at right back or centre back in a moment. One man who will be at centre back is Michael Keane. Alan continues in midfield. Nice to have him back as always. Richarlison will be starting forward as well. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, top scorer. We would love him to bang a goal or two this afternoon. Luca Dean, best left back in the league, starts as well. Alex Iwobi will get a game today. Be interesting to see whether he's the right wing back or the right winger or anywhere else. Andre Gomez in midfield. Ben Godfrey also in the side once more. And Tom Davis does come into that midfield with Alan. And that is the Everton lineup. And there's the substitutes as well. So Sigurdsson is on the bench. Mina fit enough to also be on the bench. And so Seamus Coleman. So that's a good couple of players coming back from injury. And of course a few young lads as well in Broadhead on Yango and Harry Tyra. So that's the Everton lineup. That looked like 3 centre-backs to you?
No.
No? What do you think it could be?
I think, and I normally get this totally and utterly wrong, so don't take this as done and dusted, but I would suggest that that's a flat back 4 of Mason Holgate, Michael Keane, Ben
Holgate
Godfrey,
right back.
Ben Godfrey with Michael Keane as they've been doing, and Luca Dina on the left-hand side. Now I think we might play 3 in midfield with Alan, Tom Davis and Andre Gomez, and Alex Iwobi might get his favoured position as a wide man, and then and I think, because you look at the 3 front boys there, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Alex Iwobi, 2 wide men, Dominic up top on his own, so all that talk beforehand of 2 up top could get shot to pieces.
Forget about it.
We'll see. But that's from looking at that team sheet, what I would suggest.
Yeah, but this is Carlo Ancelotti, and he changes his team all the time, his formation. Who knows, we could be playing 10 across the back.
That's
for all
fantastic.
Ancelotti
It puts me out on a limb in these situations, and then totally change up come kick-off. But whatever side goes out, it should be strong enough to beat Burnley.
Yeah, I mean, the surprise for me is that Sigurdsson's not starting. I was convinced he was going to start today, because I don't really see where our creativity is going to come from in that midfield.
Well, that's the thing. The 3 boys in midfield are predominantly more defensive midfield players.
More hustle, aren't they?
Yeah, and so that's why I would suggest that we'll play with the 3 up top in Iwobi, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So the 3 of them, the 3 boys in midfield moving around, and there's a high expectancy level now on the front 3 players.
I could be wrong in saying this, but I think this is the first time that these 3 midfielders have started a game together in the Premier League. Obviously the midfield is such a key part of the playing surface. Is it going to take them time, do you reckon, maybe to forge that kind of fluidity?
I don't think so, no. I mean, I would guess it'll be Alan in the middle of them, and then Andre to the left, Tom to the right, I would guess. Again, I could be totally wrong, but that's what I would suggest. But I would like to see Tom especially get himself a bit further forward as well. Use your energy, get up and down the pitch. Same with Andre. Don't just sit there in the middle of the park and think you can just spray the ball about. Get yourself up and down the pitch and affect the game. Yeah.
All right, this might be a very technical question, but what benefits does playing a back 4 have that playing a back 3 doesn't have? Like, what are the benefits of having those 2 centre-backs?
I mean, if you actually look at, if we played the 3 centre-halves, then it's an unnatural position for Alex Iwobi to be playing right wing back, which is what his argument will be. Luca Dean, no problem. He'd be quite happy to be pushed on a little bit higher up the pitch. If Seamus Coleman was fit enough to start, he'd be quite happy to play as a wing back as well. But obviously Alex Iwobi, not really a preferential position for him. So I think if you play the 4 at the back, in my experience, defenders prefer 4 at the back because it's just more natural for them. It's what they've grown up with. They feel a little bit more comfortable. And plus the fact you would like to think it's a bit more attacking as a lineup as well. So I think that's what it'll be.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see. Cheers, Graham. Remember, any questions for Graham, get onto Twitter, #EvertonLive, and Sarah will ask him plenty of questions later on. Now, let's have a look at some highlights about how we got on against Burnley in Carlo Ancelotti's first game a couple of years ago.
Allen with a little touch towards Decore, which didn't quite come off. Picked up for a shot at goal, and striking Robbie Brady for Burnley. Just over 2 minutes on the clock. The Irish international, returning from injury, has given Burnley a very early lunchtime lead here. Richarlison's down, Calvert-Lewin's played it out to Iwobi, and the ball back into Calvert-Lewin is blocked and cleared by Burnley. Chris Wood. McNeil back in for Wood. That's a great save by Jordan Pickford, who came charging out to meet the Burnley striker. Allen. Play on, says Anthony Taylor, and Allen's ball finds Richarlison. Calvert-Lewin wants it, gets it, scores! Great football from Everton. The combination there of Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin works again for Everton. Calvert-Lewin in stoppage time at the end of the first half gets his 14th of the season in all, his 11th in the Premier League, and importantly gets Everton level. Richarlison hammers Rodriguez. Is this the chance for Everton to win it? Gylfi Sigurdsson thwarted by the boot of Nick Pope. As we went into stoppage time, Gylfi Sigurdsson had this opportunity, but Nick Pope just stuck out that right leg of his, and it was enough to ensure that Sigurdsson was denied. A real chance for Everton to win it.
Well, welcome back to Everton Live, and I'm joined from the UAE, just outside of Dubai. One of the Everton greats, Trevor Steven, joins us via Zoom. How are you doing, Trevor?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thanks very much. It's slightly better weather here, I think, than you've got there. You with your big coat.
I bet it is. I bet it's better than 6 degrees and gale force winds. But it's an absolute delight to have you on the call this afternoon. So I was just talking to Graham Stuart about what Burnley are going to offer this afternoon. But, you know, Everton have been better than Burnley throughout the season. We just saw the highlights there of the draw earlier on. A pretty tough game. Are you expecting something similar this afternoon?
I think, you know, when you're playing Sean Dyche's sides, you know, he's built up a tremendous reputation at Burnley. You know you're going to get a really tough job, a tough 90 minutes, and I think it's going to be no different today. He gets his team playing to their strengths, and, you know, and the 4-4-2 that he strictly adheres to. And I think the players are extremely comfortable with that. They very rarely come out of that 4-4-2, so therefore you've got a really strong base to build teamwork on, and I think that's what Burnley thrive on, and it's what Sean Dyche insists on in his team performances. But of course, Carlo Ancelotti's been creating something exciting at Goodison Park, and occasionally the home form has been a bit of a struggle, but hopefully today is going to be, you know, a strong performance. And what I see is it's a vital game as well, isn't it? Because there's going to be a break after this game to the next Premier League matches, and there's some good fixtures to come as well. So if we can get the 3 points today, that'll put Everton in good stead.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed we do manage to pick up the 3 points. One of the big discussions we were just having on Everton Live before you joined us is the wide players today. Obviously, a position you know very well. Alex Iwobi looks like he's going to be playing on the wing today. This is a big game for him to step up. If you could have any advice to pass on to Alex from one winger to another, you know, what would you tell him?
Listen, Alex Iwobi, I think, has come on leaps and bounds this season. He's found the confidence in the Everton shirt this year, which I didn't think he had previously. And that's down to himself, but it's down to Carlo Ancelotti as well, giving that backing. I think when you're in the wide position, particularly when you're at home, you've got to be positive. You've got to be courageous and get on the ball. And he does have talent, and he does have an eye for a goal here and there. So it's about being a positive attitude, getting involved in the game early, trying to do the early things in the game well, set himself up for the game, and you'll see the best out of him. And, you know, I've looked at a few assists and goals, etc., for Alex Iwobi against Burnley. It's a team that he actually does well against. So you've got to think he's stepping onto the field today confident, and he does give the attacking threat in the wide positions, which Everton can struggle with, you know, from time to time. So I'm hoping that he's going to have a strong game, and I think if he does, chances will be created. And you know, it'll be good to see Calvert-Lewin back on the score sheet. Richarlison's obviously been scoring tremendously well in the last few games, and his confidence level is back to how we would expect it to be. I just like to see Calvert-Lewin getting on the score sheet, albeit that his all-round performances have been of high quality.
Yeah, they've been good. He scored against them earlier in the season as well, of course. So fingers crossed again for this afternoon. Just a quick question again about playing out wide. Obviously, it's one of those positions, isn't it? When imagine the stadium's full here, that Goodison roar. It kind of encourages the attacking players more than it does the defensive players. Iwobi won't have that today. How do you reckon you would have coped not having fans in Goodison Park?
I take my hat off to the players who are playing in the conditions that they're having to play in with the pandemic restrictions. It took a little while, I think, for everybody to get their heads around what this actually felt like. But I think that the players are now accustomed to it. I think if you just throw a crowd in now, the players will get a bit of a fright. They've almost become accustomed to the surroundings that they have at this moment in time. It would have been difficult, but at the end of the day, you're playing in your team, and whatever's going on around you, if there's a crowd there, it motivates, but it also can derail you as well if you're not having a good game. And whenever I was playing in my career, I always try to concentrate particularly well in that first few minutes of the game, try and get a touch on the ball, try and do something positive. But again, in a wide position, sometimes the games can almost pass you by sometimes, just the way that the game develops, because you have to be quite rigid in your positional play to keep the balance of the team. Sometimes the ball doesn't come to you at the right times, on the right when you have the right space in the game, and you've got to be patient. So that's one of the key elements. Be patient, try and make an impact as early as you can. Don't get that feeling that the game's going past you before you can make an impact, and then it becomes a little bit more difficult for you. Your confidence level might not be as good as it should be. So let's hope for the best, and let's hope that Alex gets into the game quickly today, gets his back up, gets excited about his own performance, and can create chances, for the front two.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed he does make his chance count today. Just one more quick question before we let you go. Obviously, you were part of the great Everton side. Is there anything you see in this side that was part of your side winning all those trophies?
I think what we're seeing, there's some really great players there at Everton now, and I think we're seeing the squad improving and gaining confidence. And I think the key element for me is the mentality that is now starting to show. I think in the season previous and seasons gone by, there's been a fragility about Everton, and if they take a negative result, how long is it going to be before that's turned around? I think now it's more of a case of the players themselves and the fans believe that they can turn around the next game if they do get a reversal. And I think that's a key element as well for picking up points, for keeping momentum, keeping the scoreboard going. And once you get a few games like that, then the momentum can take you into the higher positions in the league. And Everton are sniffing in there for European places. We've got games in hand, but today's game, I think particularly, if we get the 3 points today, we're going to look to be in a healthy position and a confident position to really attack the last stages of the Premier League season.
Yeah, well, we can all start this afternoon. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Everton Live today. Hopefully you'll come and join us in Goodison, but for the meantime, you stay warm in the UAE rather than come up here to
Cheers, thanks a lot.
Joining us in this Gale board. No worries. Well, Trevor Steven there, Everton, great. Now, this is the latest in our Everton Sports Club feature. We're going to catch up with the Tampa Sports Club in Florida.
Hey Blues, live from sunny Florida. My name is Cam Martin and I am the founder of Everton Tampa Supporters Club. We were founded in May of 2019 after it was apparent there was no official club or bar that people go to watch the matches. Took it upon myself that summer to just set up some social media accounts and put feelers out to see if anybody in Tampa wanted to get together and watch Everton matches. So starting at the beginning of the 1920 season was our first year, so we're in year 2 right now. We meet at Bay Canyon Brewery here in Tampa. It's an indoor-outdoor brewery with plenty of beers on tap that they all make in-house, and fantastic atmosphere for the games. My wife and I went to an Everton match at Goodison Park on New Year's Day 2019. It was the last leg of our honeymoon, and we were in England, and it had worked out that there was a game the weekend we were there, and so we took a train up to Merseyside, got there bright and early, got a couple pints at the Winslow, and walked across the street into Goodison. And nothing will compare to the feeling of walking out of that tunnel for the first time and seeing the pitch and hearing the music, and just the atmosphere was incredible. And the result wasn't what we wanted. It was a 1-0 defeat to Leicester City and a Jamie Vardy goal, but we're just counting the days when we can go back again. One of the interesting things about our club is we've this year just started partnering with the local Liverpool supporters clubs in Tampa and St. Pete, and for both derby matches we got together and raised canned goods and food for local charities here in Tampa. And that was one of the big things when starting this club, is that yes, we'd like to get together and watch matches, but if we can give back to Tampa the way Everton gives back to the city of Liverpool, that would be the ultimate goal. If you're trying to reach us, we're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search Everton Tampa. Come and join us. Up the Toffees.
Yeah, the Tampa supporters club there. Everybody we're getting on the features today are in much warmer places than we are, Graham, which is quite insulting, to be honest. But back to the game here today. We're lucky enough to be in the ground. Shouldn't make light of that. Here at home this season, we've not been particularly great. We did manage to beat Southampton in our last home game. Is it just the weight of expectation of being the home side that's weighing on them?
It's such a tough question to answer. I mean, it's a topic of conversation all across the board in the Premier League, isn't it? Home, sides' home forms. But this is where, and I've said this before, I really believe fans in the stadium for us makes a massive difference to what happens on the pitch. And I think the fans demand a performance. If they were here now, they demand a performance from the side. We've been beaten at Chelsea. It's a game where if we win, we can move ourselves back up into 5th place. Maybe temporarily, we don't know, but they would create the energy that you need at 5:30 on a Saturday evening when it's not the most attractive of games. And we're all saying that. I mean, all the Evertonians will be sitting at home excited about watching their side, obviously, but would you rather watch Everton versus Tottenham than Everton versus Burnley? Obviously you would. So these are the games where you've got a responsibility as a player to be ultra professional, get yourself up for the game, but I think it would be far easier if the crowd were in the stadium.
Yeah, almost definitely. Well, hopefully by the end of the season there will be a few fans back in Goodison Park, which would be very nice. Cheers, Graham. Remember, any questions for Graham Stuart, get onto Twitter, #EvertonLive, get your questions on there. Now, up next on Everton Live, you may have seen this on the Everton social channels. Alex Iwobi, we've talked about at length on this show actually, has been telling us all about his Everton teammates.
I'm Alex Iwobi, and this is the lowdown on some of my teammates. Most inspiring teammate for me would be Seamus Coleman, the captain. I mean, every day he's always vocal, he's always wanting us to improve in training, but at the same time, like, off the pitch, he does have a laugh, like he's a human being at the end of the day, but no one else gets us more motivated in the team for me, more than him. He's such a big influence in the team. Toughest trainer, I will give that to Tom Davis. I mean, he is always giving 100% in training. Off the pitch, he will do a bit of extras. He's probably the last one to go home. He's always in the gym. Like, he takes it proper serious, and like, everyone has respect for him off the pitch as well as on the pitch. The best teacher for me, probably Fabian Delph. He's always like on the pitch. He's almost like one of the coaches. Like, whilst training's going on, he'll be educating and talking to mainly the youngsters, like people that are young coming into the team, like, or from the 23s trying to push up into training. He's always talking, trying to help them. So I'll say him. Quietest Richarlison for me. He does talk, don't get me wrong, he does talk, but he just doesn't talk a lot. As everyone else in the team talks, is very vocal, but he's probably less vocal than everyone. My funniest teammate, Nils Nkunku, like he's always giving me banter 24/7. Like in the change rooms, we're always laughing. He makes me laugh every day. Natural leader, Mason Holgate. He's very, very vocal. Like he's always talking. So like even if it's not match related, he's still talking. But before games, he's probably the loudest. He's always trying to psych up everyone, get everyone ready for the game. So yeah, I'll say he's natural.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I absolutely love that teammates feature there from Alex Iwobi. Got to say, I was quite surprised that Richarlison's the quietest. He's anything but quiet on the football pitch, isn't he?
Well, that's where we need him to express himself. So if you want to be quiet in the dressing room, that's fine by me. But when you get out on that park, express yourself. And Richarlison does that well for us. So we'll take. He's got it the right way round. Absolutely,
and he's not quiet on social media, is he? He's always winding people up, and I absolutely love that.
I don't get involved in social media.
You're not social media friendly, Graham.
No.
Oh, well, on the back of that, then I've got to ask you, in terms of teammates from your time at Everton, who was the funniest for you when you were here?
Oh, funniest. Oh, there was a lot of characters. We had some. Do you know what? It's a funny one because Anders Limpar was the quietest, but the funniest.
Yeah.
Because he was so quiet. When he came out with something, it was hilarious. So, for somebody who has so much talent and such an effective player, you were surprised how nervous he was before games and during the week. I mean, to be fair to Anders, I've never seen anybody lumped around the football pitch so much in my life in training, because we had Barry Horn, Joe Parkinson, John Ebrell, and they must have tackled him about 100 times every training session. The poor fella used to walk off black and blue every training session, but a really good, hilarious character was Anders.
Definitely. I think sometimes that's part of it, isn't it? When somebody is quite quiet, when they deliver them one-liners and stuff, it really makes you laugh. Yeah. What about hardest trainer? Saw Tom Davis there, which is good to see.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's got to work hard. You should be working hard every single day you come into the training ground. Obviously, there's some more than others who maybe stay behind a little bit longer and what have you. But I think all of our players at Everton in my time worked really, really hard. Dave Watson worked his socks off, not just on the pitch, but off it as well. A lot of weight training and strength work, core work and everything like that. But he really did lead from the front, Dave Watson, in everything that he did. So big Dave, just because I'd never argue with him. Never argue with Big Waggy.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we want to see all the time from all of our Everton players, working hard, and that's exactly what Carlo Ancelotti wants to see from his players as well. And talking about the great man himself, a lot of you will have seen the podcast series that we're doing on Carlo Ancelotti, and this week on episode 6, it's Paul Clement talking about his 7 years working with our boss.
What sort of culture did he try to establish at Chelsea when he arrived at the club?
I think one of respect. That was very important to him. And he had experience of managing very big players from his time at Milan and at Juventus as well, and even at Parma, because if you think it was Zola was there at that point. And the Italian national team with Sacchi. So very good at managing the dressing room. And I think there's no ego with Carlo. He's very, very humble. Feet are on the ground. He comes from his father was a farmer, so he's got a very humble upbringing, and he's kept that going in his career, through his playing career and his coaching career. And I think I never hear anyone say a bad word about Carlo, and I know why, and I've lived that, and I've been with him for 7 years. But at times, it's been misinterpreted that it can be soft touch, and that's not true at all. That's not true. To be a coach and having that longevity that he's had and that success that he's had with players with, at times, big egos, you have to have a strong personality yourself and a hard edge to make decisions. Because when you're a coach and a manager, you've got to make tough decisions, and he does that all the time. So I think some of that criticism is unfair. get labelled as being too nice, but he's a gentleman, but he's also a very good professional. So I think he's got great balance.
Can you hear me, Sarah?
Screen at the moment, I guess you can see the goal. So got Everton women captain Lucy Graham, but at the moment,
Always me. It always seems to be me when this happens. My Zoom calls aren't working. I just heard in my earpiece that it should be working, but I'm still not getting anything through.
All right, well, I'll step in for now.
Yeah, if you want to.
I'll stand in place of Lucy. I am here on Everton Live behind Lucy Graham. Maybe you could tell us. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Apologies for that, everybody watching back home. We will try and get Lucy through as soon as possible. But yeah, well.
Just tell us about how Everton got on at the weekend. Didn't they smash?
Thursday we played.
Yes,
we were away at Birmingham, St George's Park, which was the temporary venue for the fixture, and it was an absolutely thumping 4-0 win for our girls. One of the best performances I've seen from them in a while, and some absolute worldy goals in there as well. So yeah, definitely one to enjoy, and I'm sure Lucy will agree. I think she can still hear us, but unfortunately at the moment still struggling to get anything through. But yeah, it's been a really, really good couple of weeks for Everton women. We lost away to Manchester City in the previous fixture, but it was probably one of the strongest performances from us a while, so it was important that we came back and got that win against Birmingham, and we've got a big game against Chelsea next week.
So how important is that game against Chelsea in terms of league positioning and that sort of thing?
It's massive. I mean, Chelsea are favourites to win the title, I think, between them and Manchester City. So I think, you know, if we can get a result against them at home, then it'll be absolutely massive. Bear with me, Rich, because I'm going to try now to fit another earpiece in. Oh, wait.
Lucy, are you there?
I can hear Lucy. Ah!
Right.
I can hear you, Lucy.
Years. I can imagine you were laughing at that at my expense.
Really sweet. I don't think she's hit a ball better in her life, to be honest. But yeah, to be fair, all goals were really well worked and really well taken. And obviously Jill hit the bar as well as scoring as well. So it definitely could have been more, which is a really positive kind of thing to take from the game.
Definitely. And just while I've got you here, as you can see the backdrop behind me, Goodison Park, you can see back there the Glad Street end. Now, you scored a pretty important goal there, didn't you? A diving header, Duncan Ferguson-esque, Gladys Street end in the quarter-final against Chelsea, and in the run that saw us ultimately reach Wembley in an FA Cup final. Just explain to me what it was like to score in that famous Gladys Street end.
It's something you can't even describe. There's no word in the world that you can actually say to describe how good it feels. You know, it's just with the calibre of the game and the importance of the goal, it's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Obviously, the first time I got to play at Goodison as well. So yeah, it was a really, really important goal for the team. But yeah, it's got something a little special as well that I'll always remember.
Another special goal you scored, I remember, wasn't too far away from here at Everton's former home in Anfield, and you scored the winner there in the top end. So you like to score big goals in big games, don't you, Lucy?
Yeah, absolutely. That one tasted even sweeter as well because it was against the Reds.
Too right, girl. You know exactly. You're part of us. You absolutely get it. Just got to ask you as well, your 2-year contract you've just signed, you're going to be with us until June 2023. I know plenty of fans are getting messages popping up left, right and centre. Everyone's absolutely delighted. Plenty of ambition. You want to achieve big things with this club, don't you, in the coming couple of years?
Oh, definitely. No, I mean, I really love the club. Ever since I've came here, I've been so welcomed. Like you say, the ambition of the club is just on another level. You know, anything that we try and ask for and strive towards to be better, you know, the club turn around and, you know, the supporters, they totally back us. Obviously, we're getting to play at Goodison as well that time, so it just shows you that, you know, that it is a one club mentality, and it definitely is the people's club because the people here that run it, you know, they make you feel like you are part of the family. So, you know, it would be stupid for me not to accept that 2-year extension because, you know, this is where I belong and this is where I want to, you know, have success.
Absolutely. Well, Lucy, we're delighted to have your long-term future secured to the club, and thank you so much for joining us here on Everton Live. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. And somebody else that we're fortunate to have with us for their long-term future is Ben Godfrey, and here he is earlier this week.
Been going to the stadium since I was about 5, I think.
Garmin?
Oh.
Hey mate, you okay?
Yes, thanks.
Thought I'd surprise you. Congratulations with your award. I bet you were over the moon to win that. Are you missing football because of all the COVID at the minute?
Yeah, I'm missing it, yeah. He's saying every day, Mum, when do you think we'll be going back? You know, we really miss it.
No, we can't wait to get you back in the stadiums and stuff.
Gorman came to Kimmel Bay when he was nearly 5. We put together a little plan each Saturday for him to learn the basics of football, mainly control, because that's the main skill. And he's become one of the best players in North Wales at his age group. And for someone that, you know, has still got his physical impairments, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
That's unbelievable. Obviously, yeah. Football's hard enough for anyone, you know, trying to improve. But for you, Garman, to be improving and flying as you are with, you know, dealing what you're dealing with, it's unbelievable. So no, I'm really happy that you won the award. I think it's well deserved. Just keep working hard and keep improving. That's what we do in football. Just be the best we can.
Ben, yeah. We've been talking a fair bit about your tackles. We're all very impressed with those, especially the one on Shaqiri, was it? Have you got any tips?
Timing. Because if you don't time them right, you might see a few yellow and red cards, and we don't want that. We don't want that. So yeah, timing. I wouldn't advise practicing them in the street though. I'd save them for when you're on a nice soft pitch. Thank you, Carmen. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Oh, thank you very much. It does mean an awful lot, and Ben, you know, when we see you playing and the rest of the team, it's inspirational for all the kids. So thank you very much.
No problem. As I said, you're an inspiration, and to everyone at Everton and all the young lads trying to play football. So I've loved chatting to you. It's been great. Keep going as well. Keep trying to improve.
Thanks.
No worries, mate. Don't mistime any of them slide tackles. I'll get the blame for that.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff there from Ben Godfrey, surprising a young fan. And he is absolutely fast becoming a fan's favourite, isn't he, Ben Godfrey?
Yes, I was talking to Richie about it before, and I think Ben has done terrifically well. It's not easy for young players in their first real big move to come to a huge club like Everton, and we are a huge football club. And Norwich is tucked away there in Norfolk, and whilst Norwich have got fantastic fan base and what have you, it's not the same as coming here, and sometimes that can be the hardest thing, the adjustment. But Ben's done terrifically well. He's come in, and the players have, you know, bought into the way he is as a person, and he seems to have really settled down nicely and one to watch for the future. And it wouldn't surprise me if Gareth Southgate is watching very, very closely at the moment, because his performance level have been astonishing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it would be madness to think that Gareth Southgate isn't watching him. He's been that good, hasn't he? He's been one of the best English centre-halves in the country, or right-backs or left-backs, wherever he's been put. But, of course, he's been able to play a few games as centre-half recently. How do you think he's done there? Yeah,
he's done absolutely fine. And again, this is another string to his bow in some respects, because he's had to play out on the right, he's played out on the left, he's done a wing-back position as well, he's done the centre-halves, which is obviously his favoured position as well. But it's all part of his education as a young player, and it won't do him any harm whatsoever. And obviously, if you've got the likes of Gareth Southgate, the England manager, watching you, and you're producing performances like he has done in each of the roles that he's played, all the more power to you going forward. I mean, we don't want to lump too much pressure on him too soon, because he's still learning his trade, and you don't suddenly become an England great overnight. He's got to do it he's got to show some longevity about it as well. But certainly the signs are excellent for us that we've got a really, really top player on our hands.
Absolutely, and the other thing that goes with that, not only is he a top player, but I think something that stuck with me that he said quite early on into his Everton career is that, coming here, it's not only, the fact we are, of course, a massive football club, but the ethic of this football club and the morals and what we stand for here is what matched his personally, and that's exactly what you want to see, isn't it?
And that's credit to the backroom staff as well, because they must have done their due diligence on him and worked out what kind of character he is, because that's every bit as important. You can't have somebody who's a bit fluffy coming here. You've got to be a little bit battle hardened and get out on that pitch and produce the goods if you want to wear the Everton shirt. So I like his attitude. I like everything about him. He's got great pace. He's got the aggression at the right times without being reckless about it. And as I say, I can't speak highly enough of him.
Yeah, I think that's spot on as well. He's got that aggressiveness, but it's controlled, it's clever, he's not rash, he's very aware of what he's doing and very vocal as well. But of course, another centre-half that we're delighted to see back in the squad today, Yerry Mina, and also Seamus Coleman, the right-back as well, back in there. Those two are massive boosts for the team, aren't they?
Of course, I mean, Seamus is a fantastic player, always has been for us as well, the best signing we've ever made probably in our history. For the money that we paid for him, but a great character to have in and around the dressing room, even if he's not playing. Just to have him in and around it all is great for match day for the young players growing up as well. So great to have him back. Yerry was having building a really good partnership with Michael Keane as well when Ben was playing in the fullback position. So it gives Carlo options. Plenty of options as well, and that's what you need at this time of the season where we're picking up injuries left, right, and centre, as most clubs are. When you get some top players back, it does help you to just keep that momentum going, to keep producing good results, because you've got good sides on the pitch all the time.
Absolutely, and from some positive injury news to some negative, unfortunately, we've got to talk about Abdoulaye Doucouré is out for what could be about 8 weeks. Massive loss, isn't he? He's been fantastic this season, but an opportunity for somebody to come in and prove themselves too. Yeah,
I mean, somebody else's loss can be somebody else's gain. I mean, that's, you've got to turn a negative into a positive and all those sort of cliches, what have you. But sad news for Abdoulaye Doucouré. It's very, very unfortunate, because he is the man in the middle of the park that has got the energy levels to get up the top of the pitch and back down and do that for 90 minutes. So he's huge loss for us, in my opinion. So there's a lot of pressure on the other three boys in the middle of the park there, the three boys today. Andre Gomez, Tom Davis, Alan. They've got to get their energy levels up. They've got to take their game to another level, take the responsibility that Doucouré's loss has left us with.
Definitely, and as you said, it's the cliches, but absolutely you want to take them negatives and flip them into positives, and hopefully the lads that are coming in will take their opportunity and do it well. But in terms of today's game as well, and the forwards that we've got, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, just before the Chelsea game it was 4-4 for Richarlison. Dominic, however, is said recently he is a little bit frustrated. He's not been scoring at the rate he was earlier in the season, but do you think this would be a good opportunity for him today, back on home turf, to try and get back on the score sheet again?
Well, you'd like to think so. I mean, every time you step out on the pitch at Goodison Park as a centre forward, you fancy your chances of scoring. And this is, again, a topic we had earlier on in the discussion in the build-up to this game, is what's the team going to be? What's the formation going to be? Is Dominic going to play alongside Richarlison again, or is Richie going to have to move out a bit further wide? I just don't know at this moment in time. We're either playing 4-3-3 or we're playing 3-5-2. Whatever way you want to look at it, it might interject throughout the game. We don't know. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to when I see the players come out and line up, because then that'll give us a clearer idea as to which way Carlo's going to go. But he's talked about wanting to be on the front foot a bit more and press higher up the pitch. That's probably easier if you've got three up top, because those three can pressurise a Burnley back four. If you've only got the two trying to split four players, sometimes it's a little bit harder to put the pressure on.
Definitely, and Burnley, we know notoriously are a very tough team to break down. Yeah. They are solid, so let's hope we can unpick the lock today, and we see Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or whoever in a blue shirt scores. We'll be delighted to see any of them go in the back of the
sooner the better. I think it will make for a better game if we can score early.
Definitely, I absolutely agree. Graham, we've got the questions again for you. We know you love this part of the show. This is great, from Jazza. What was the party like after the FA Cup win?
It was sensational, to be honest with you. It was at the Royal Lancaster Hotel in London, The club did us proud. They put on a fantastic evening, plenty of entertainment. Top man was Duncan Ferguson, wore a kilt that night, and I'm not going to say where the kilt ended up, but it was higher than his shoulders most of the night. But all in good jest and fun, obviously.
He could do what he wants.
He could do what he wanted. No one was going to argue with him, were they? So, but that was great fun. But our families were there, and it was an unbelievably great occasion because, I mean, little did we know it. That's the last time we won some silverware. So, you work hard, you train hard, you play hard, celebrate hard, because you never know when the next one's coming.
Too right, and as you said, it has been too long since that time.
Absolutely.
But we have got a massive tie coming up. Quarter-final, FA Cup, Goodison Park, Manchester City, in amazing form, but they've proved recently they are there to be beaten. Do you think we can do it?
Well, you've got to hope that we can. I mean, I'm a realist. We're all realists as Evertonians. We know that Manchester City are an incredible side, and we are going to have the best night to get through the tie, in my opinion. But that's not to say we can't do that. We've got to go out there, we've got to take the shackles off and really take the game to Manchester City. If we sit off and allow City to dictate the game, we'll get beat. So let's have a go at them, let's get on the front foot and do our fans proud and do themselves. If you walk off the pitch and you know you've given it everything, no one can accuse you of anything. So, as I say, City are going to have a slightly off night, we're going to have a right good night, but it's the excitement of the FA Cup. This time next week, we'll be that close to playing it, and there's a little bit of time afterwards as well. There's an international break, so no excuses for the players to not put 100% maximum effort in, knowing that they've got a little bit of a break in the Premier League afterwards.
Definitely, nil satis nisi optima, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And Graham, thank you so much for joining us. It's
My
always
pleasure,
a pleasure
as
to have you on. And
Thanks,
let's
Sarah.
hope that, in the not too distant future, Duncan Ferguson's got his kilt on again, celebrating
Absolutely,
an FA Cup win.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, from Duncan Ferguson and his kilt now to talking about Don Carlo, here he is ahead of today's game.
Carlo, following Chelsea's result today, just how good an opportunity is this now to close the gap on the top four?
Oh, it's an opportunity. I think that it can be an opportunity the last 11 games that to the end of the season. Today is an important opportunity to have a result. We know that the game of Chelsea teach that it's really difficult to play in the Premier League, and so it will be difficult also tonight against Burnley, but we hope to be ready.
Although you won your last game here against Southampton, you have found it difficult to win here at home. Just how critical do you feel it is to improve on that record between now and the end of the season?
We want to improve. Against Southampton we played a good game, we won after a long time. It's true that at home we didn't have the result that we wanted to have, but I think we are on time to have a good result, because the fight for Europe is still there.
Just the one change today in midfield. Davis comes in for Sigurdsson. He's on the bench. Tell us your thinking there.
Yeah, Sigurdsson didn't train properly during the week. He had the problem in the last game. He is on the bench. If we need him, he is available. And for this reason, he didn't play.
You're without Abdoulaye Doucouré now for several weeks, unfortunately. He has been a really key player for you all season. How well equipped do you feel you are to cater for his absence now?
We have Tom Davies that played really well in the past. We had Allan out for 2 months, and Tom Davies replaced him really well. I think it will be the same to replace Doucouré.
He always looks so stern and serious, doesn't he, Carlo Ancelotti? But, you'd like to think by the end of today, he'll have a bigger smile on his face. Burnley at home. We were just saying, weren't we? We've got to win this today. But we say that every week, so... Well, this one we have got to win.
We have got to win, and the Southampton game, the last game at Goodison, 1-0, it wasn't a glamorous one to watch, we know that, but it's just getting the wins. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see us win 4-0 here today, of course. I'd love us to score early, like I was just saying to Graham, and, try and take the game. But I think it's going to be a tough one against Burnley. But as long as come, full time, Everton have got the 3 points on the board, that is the main thing.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. In a few hours' time, we will know that, and hopefully we can squeeze that gap on the top four. Well, that's it for Everton Live for this weekend. Thanks, Sarah, for all your help, and thanks to Graham Stuart as well. Superb work as always, and thanks for you for getting involved as well on Twitter. We'll be back again next weekend. Everton versus Manchester City in the FA Cup quarter-final.
Oh,
it's going to be a nervy one.
I'm nervous already because I'm that excited for it. I just think, you know, after the Tottenham game and that 5-4, come on, let's just get it done. Let's get into them semi-finals.
For them, Burnley today, though, obviously in the Premier League. EvertonFC.com if you want full free Everton biased commentary on today's game. But anyway, we will be back again next weekend. We'll see you then.